All right, I want to continue my talk on LinkedIn crowdfunding and crowdfunding in general. Now, one of the things that I think startups need more than anything than teams or anything else, is really access to capital. And the gatekeepers that are controlling that access are basically creating a bottleneck for innovation and for startups. So the only recourse is to open up that bottleneck, and crowdfunding is potentially the release of the funds. Now, I'm going to say it all the time. $5,000, investing $5,000 into a startup is not going to cause anyone to go bankrupt, right? In reality, probably the average American invests over $5,000 in lottery tickets and sports games and everything else, and games and crap that does nothing for them. And ultimately, you have to understand too is that the real target for crowdfunding isn't necessarily the housewives and the plumbers and stuff out there, or I hate to pick on plumbers, but just the average American working class family, blue collar worker. Understand, the real target is really the white collar worker, the accountants, the lawyers, the individuals who have significant access to funds, and $5,000 is really nothing to them. So they're not institutional investors. They're not, quote, authorized by the SEC to speculate and invest. However, these same folks will go to Vegas and go spend lots of money. So in really discussing and talking about the crowdfunding for LinkedIn, the way that I've been talking about, the way that we create an insensitized, make it the incentive, right? So incentivize, I can't say it anyway, is by providing a very lucrative referral, okay? And also to pretty much provide shares for next to nothing. So 10 cents a share is a pretty cheap buy-in for a share. And if the average company basically releases 10 million shares at 10 cents per share, basically they have access to raise $1 million for their startup. Now, the idea isn't to go out and sell 10 million shares and raise $1 million. The idea here is to provide just 1,000 shares, a million shares. That's 100,000, right? And then provide basically a mechanism to buy those shares back by reaching specific, measurable, achievable goals that in essence increase the value of the stock. So let's say I'm going to give you 10 cents a share because I'm just starting out and I have nothing. But I tell you, the moment that I have a patent, do you think my shares are worth 10 cents a share? No, obviously not. Now they're going to be worth 50 cents a share. So there's your 5-to-1 return. And as soon as I reach another milestone, let's say, hey, I get my first 1,000 customers, 100 customers, guess what? I'm going to put the shares up another 10 cents. So the idea is you keep raising the value of the shares, and you provide an exit strategy for those who previously bought the shares to do one of two things. One is, as the shares reach a new peak, the owner of the company has rights to basically buy you out at that return. So if I say I'm going to give you a 5-to-1 return, when I start raising money at 50 cents a share and I have money coming in because people are like, wow, FoundUps Corp has legs, wow, I really like this, I see what they're doing, I see the website and everything else, this is making a lot of sense. So people are purchasing this, the investors are coming and say, well, I'll buy in at 50 cents a share, that seems to me a really good deal. And I turn around then and take that 50 cents a share and buy back my 10 cents a share, or say, listen, you can take the 10 cents a share 5-to-1 and turn around and repurchase the new 1 million shares with your investment money if you want to keep the investment in there. So you're basically taking back those first million shares. The idea here is to always only have 10% of the company that is crowdfunded, and you're holding 90% of the company for a number of reasons, which I won't go into now, but pretty much you're holding it because at some point you may need a big infusion of money, and you have 90% of the company where you can go to the VCs or you can go to angel groups, and then you can leverage a big deal. And you always provide that option to buy back those other investors, provided they get a 5-to-1 or greater return on their investment. A 5-to-1 return in a 9 to 36 months is very fair. It's very extremely reasonable, and there is no stock or nothing else out there right now that's going to give you a 5-to-1 return, on your investment. So that's something like, a 600% return on your, in basically 12 months to 36 months. Damn sweet deal. So obviously there's risk. One way to minimize the risk is that, I don't mind, for example, with FoundUs, because I'm confident and I know that I'm, making the money doing my day job, which is being a business development director, is that, listen, hey, in 3 years, if I can't, for some reason, can't give you that 5-to-1, I'll give your base investment back. I'll guarantee it, in essence, with a nominal interest rate to it. I have no problem doing that either. So, in essence, treat it like a loan for those 5 years. So, ideally, what I want to do is within 12 months, is basically purchase back the stock that I've given to you. If it's a $5,000 investment, give you back $25,000. So, how does this all tie back to LinkedIn? Well, in LinkedIn, you have a social network where if you can provide a crowdsourcing method to get the word out, and the way that you provide the incentive to do that is say, listen, only for the first $100,000, if you know someone that is looking to invest and you can point them in my opportunity, and if they purchase 50,000 shares, that's $5,000, right? I will give you 30,000 shares, right, as a thank you. Now, most likely, because their interest, they will go to some of their other friends and say, hey, I think this is a good deal. Michael's got a good idea here. I put $5,000 in it. I think you should too. And in return, by him referring those, let's say, 3 friends, now he's just got 30,000 extra shares on top of his 50,000. So that's an additional 90,000 shares on top of his 50,000. So just by referring to 3 or 4 other people, now he has 150,000 shares. So by providing this kind of incentive, now understand, this deal stops the moment we hit 100,000. It goes away. The whole point of this incentivized deal is to encourage the crowdsourcing to deliver the funds, right? To say, hey, this guy is onto something. Why don't you check out his videos? His name is Michael Trout. Go look at it. Go talk to him if you want it. He's looking for he's looking for $100,000, 20 people, 5,000 apiece. He's offering a 5-to-1 return, and guarantee, that he will pay out within 3 years, or give your original investment with base interest on it, whatever the current interest rate is, like a business loan, right? And so how can you lose? And if he's right, which he kind of has a very kind of neat idea, then you're looking at significant return. Now, understand, for most investors out there, putting in $5,000 and making $25,000 is basically, crap to them. They're not interested. They want to put in $100,000 and make $1 million, right, or whatever, or $800,000 back. So, but that's not really my market that I'm interested. I'm really interested in the folks that $25,000 for putting $5,000 in is a nice return, right? I'm looking for the folks who would be happy to get, maybe they're the day traders, maybe they already invest in stocks, maybe they have, they've got a portfolio, and they're like, this is just a way to diversify. Yeah, it's risky. It's probably the riskiest portfolio investment that you can do. But if if I am right in basically pioneering this method, then we may just have a way to basically free up ultimately billions of dollars for startups. And simply by using this kind of very incentivized referral method to encourage folks to invest. Well, I hope what I'm saying kind of